Hello everyone, and welcome to today's live stream, where we're doing an extra one today, because I just saw the new Tron movie trailer, and I saw the Rez Effect that you can see right here, and I want to make it. For those of you who don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago, I made some Tron fan art, which I really enjoyed, but that was before geometry nodes even existed. So I kind of want to try making it with geometry nodes. So let's first do a little analysis of this effect. And you can also tell I have the Tron music playing in the background, which is very nice. But with this effect, there seems to be 2 layers of it. Here we have the kind of voxel up-resing, and then the actual mesh right here, which we can see with this line. And as the effect progresses, we can see that it changes to more of a wireframe, as we can see here. 2 layers, actually. An under wireframe, an over wireframe, and over here we can see some of the topology lines. Apologies that's so blurry. This is the best I could get on YouTube. But we can also see some other parts to the effect. Like here we can see a kind of like circuit board wires going through the system, through the voxels, but it's not actually the voxels. So I want to try attempting to get that as well. But yes, there are 2 main components. The inner guts of it, which is just the adaptive voxels, and then just the mesh appearing, just an alpha layer thing. So that's what I want to try. I have motivation, and I really want to see if I can capitalize on that. Or not capitalize, but you know what I mean. Use the motivation to my advantage while I still have it. It seems like a fairly straightforward effect if I can get the voxels working the way I want. So, step 1, adaptive voxels. That's what I want to make. So, what I envision in this case is we're going to use a repeat zone and then quote-unquote subdivide points as the repeat zone happens. And then those will make cubes that just exist on there. So in this case, we have points with a radius. In this case, the radius will be 1. And if they're inside the mesh, they will subdivide. And then everything outside of it will be cold. And if it's close enough to the surface here, it will do the subdivision. And then anything that's not within the radius just will stop. So that is the goal. Get adaptive subdivision working, even though in this case, I think they only have like 3 layers of cubes based on the distance. But I want to make mine like really rock solid. I think in this case, that's probably like 0.1 meters, the biggest cubes there. But we'll see how it goes. I should also mention that I'm using Blender 4.3 for this. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's get a repeat zone. Actually, I keep forgetting I can't drag out the socket to do that. But here we go. So the basic premise of this is that we are going to instance on points, which in this case just this point right here. And then here we're going to have a cube, and then we're going to turn the mesh to points so that we can get some new points. Okay, so right, mesh to points, and then I think the radius for this needs to be 0.5. I think the purpose is to just subdivide the cube. Then also in this case how are we going to do this right? The radius needs to be the current radius of the point divided by 2. So what would be the best way to do that? Here we're going to get the radius. We'll just do that. And then here, well, the radius should... No, it's not going to pass on. So either I can try to make... I could either have a stored named attribute so that we don't need to use the actual radius here, because I'm not sure which one would overwrite which, and that may be a bad idea. Or since... Let's make it actually unique. Yeah, okay. Let's just store named attributes so that we don't have to worry about anything else. Maybe I should have done this in 4.5 to get the inline sockets, but anyway. I'll label this size just so that we don't have to worry about it, and I'll just set the point radius after, just so that we're not, tied to that. So let's do this, named attribute, let's get the size, put that right into there. So we're just going to skip over that for now, and we'll see how it goes. So after all this, when we realize the cube points, we will go and then restore the point radius, or the point size in this case, to be what it was, divided by 2. That is the plan. So Nope, not vector math, regular math divide. There we go, it's so low on the list. But there we go, so we have all that, that's looking quite good. So this is our subdivision part. Now, after the subdivision, we'll need to delete stuff. But first of all, let's take a look to see if this is actually working. There we go, we should see that every iteration, yep, that part is working. We now have adaptive, or not adaptive, but we have subdivision happening. So now we just need to decide which parts of this do get subdivided. So we'll make this subdivide, and then which parts get deleted. So which one? I think after this we'll do the delete stage, so if they are outside of the mesh, they will get deleted. So yeah, I think that is a good idea. So we need 3 components. We need the separate geometry. So this will separate the points if they are supposed to be subdivided, and then after that they will be rejoined. I should be doing this in 4.5 just because I want to actually use the inline sockets. I mean, let's see. If you can give me like 3 seconds, I can go and upgrade it, but this would work in Blender 4.3. Yeah, I'm going to use 4.5 just to make it a bit more relevant to today's day and age. Whoops, I do not want to close out of OBS. Let's go and boot that up in 3 seconds. So 3, 2, 1. It's taking longer than that, of course. Let's wait for it to boot up. But yes, Tron. I remember seeing quite a bit of that when I was a kid, and I was hooked. Like the glowy lights, I always like cool sci-fi glowy lights and stuff like that. And yeah, I want to get a little bit of that back. Okay, so let's make sure, is this actually working? Ah, okay, yep, it is working. Okay. So here we are in the latest version of 4.5 because I want to look at the inline sockets. Like, look how beautiful that is. Everything is so small now and perfect. But yes, let's go and make it so this actually works. So window, toggle window full screen. So now what we need to do is get the mesh signed distance field. So I'm still unsure whether or not I want to make this as hacky as possible, or like, do we want it to be accurate or fast? I think in this case, we're going to just do the fast method. So in this case, to decide which voxels we want to separate, we are going to use the geometry proximity node. So here we're going to bring in the original geometry. And if we want to use this on other meshes, which I probably should do. Actually, should I do that right now? Just separate the effect from the actual base mesh here. Yeah, let's go and make that transfer. So let's X out of geometry nodes here, add in a geometry node right here, put it on there, and then we're going to drag in the body here. Totally normal thing to say, nothing weird about that. But yes. So now we can still reference the body here, but also just have this there, and we will pin that. So here we get the position and the distance, but we also want to sample the nearest surface to get the surface normal. Or do we want to sample the nearest, well, let's use sample nearest surface. It's probably easier to do. So let's go and get a vector. And this vector, we want to get the normal. So this will be the true norm. Like, either one of these is probably fine because we're not dealing with custom normals, but I'm going to evaluate this on the point domain. And then we'll pass this into here so we can get the normal. So now what we want to do is subtract the position because I want to get the signed distance field. So if I have done this correctly, if we dot product the vector to the surface, so just imagine arrows pointing from the point position to the surface, we now dot product that to that, and this will give us the distance along that axis. So let me turn off the delete geometry here, and we should see, if I connect this, we should see that that's okay. And if I go and say greater than 0, this should, oh, that's new. Look at that. Huh. Nice. Oh, but it's not everywhere. Interesting. Only in a few places. I mean, I'm not against that. It does take up a good amount of space, but that I do quite like that, actually. I remember someone talking about that a while back, but I forgot about it until right now. So here we can see this, and if we turn up the iterations, maybe this should be a less than situation. So here, yep, we can see that it is indeed working. If it's inside, it will not subdivide, and if it's outside, it will. But I think something else is going just a little bit wrong, if I'm being honest. I'll have to do a little check about that. Or actually, how about this? Well, oh. I don't remember that happening. Let's go and bring a point into here, because I want to start off with some, like, seed points, if that makes sense. So they have 1 meter, so we'll have ones for the entire body. And let's make sure that is, let's do 2 meters, 1 meter, and 0 meter. Okay. So there's that. So we're going to convert the original mesh to points. 2 points. This is why I wanted to not have to rely on the radius attribute, just in case I didn't want to actually do points in this for this. So here we have the actual distance. So the ones that are outside, let's see. The ones that are outside do not get, actually, wait a second. In this case, the ones that are outside do get subdivided. And the ones that are inside do not. So it's like that. We can see that these get subdivided, but we can see that there's a slight issue in this case. And that issue is that if it doesn't matter if the spheres are actually colliding. So in that case, we need to subtract the size. So in this case, let's go and do that. It's been a hot minute since I've done this kind of effect, so in theory, should work. Let's do that. And we can see that's working, and working quite nicely. So if they are colliding, they will subdivide. But it seems to be a little bit too generous in that regard. So I think I need, oh wait, do I just need to make this... that's better. Here we can see that the points that are closer are like that. But I have a gut feeling that even this is too much. So, actually, wait a minute. I think that's fine. We just need to make it so that the points that are outside get deleted. So we'll make this our, I guess, mesh proximity setup. Yeah. Though, we also need to delete anything outside. So in this case, we'll go in. Oh, look how nice that is with the inline sockets. Just a line. Perfection. So if it's greater than 0, it will delete. But actually, I think this is inverted. So we'll have to go and do this. And then we'll set it to be a less than. Probably also subtract. There we go. There we go. Very nice. But now everything inside does that. So actually, we don't need this first part to be signed. I don't think. I could be wrong about that, though. Let's do a little check. So, yeah, that seems to be all right. Things are subdividing. But if the distance is too great, I really need them to not. So let's do greater. Nope, that isn't a problem. That is a problem. Maybe I need to separate this. So if that part's there, it'll be just fine. This one will be an add. Nope. Greater than. There we go. Yep. Just need to fiddle around with the settings until you get something right. Here, if we keep doing this, keep turning up the subdivision levels, we should get something accurate. And now the collisions, as we can see here, won't be 100% accurate, because we're not doing actual cube collision, this is sphere collision. So I should go and change that, but before then, I'm going to instance on the points, because we'll need cubes. So let's go and make a nice beveled cube. So let's put in a nice bevel right here. I will read the chat in a quick second. I know I've been neglecting that once again. I always do. Let's set this to be, actually, let's make this cube 1 meter so that we don't need to worry about anything else. 0.125. Set this to be around 4. Want to have a nice middle segment, which seems to be the case. And then we will drag our beveled cube into here and then make sure the size. Oh, there are way too many cubes. Oh no. There we go. We can see that we are getting a ton of cubes. Way, way, way too many. But let's take a look at this in Eevee, and I have not pre-cooked Eevee. Oh, there we go. It is pre-cooked. Very nice. We can see that all that is working. Oh my god, that is way too many cubes. My computer is not liking this. So we can just use the points, and we can see that works in real time. And we can work on the shaders and stuff without the real cubes. We'll save those for only if it renders. So yeah, let's go and clean up the node tree. Let's see, 2 streams in one day. You are too kind, sir. Right now, I'm under the motivation of a 14-year-old who just saw the Tron trailer. Or wait, how old was I when maybe I was 10 when the Tron trailer came out. But I've always liked Tron. Always liked it. So let's go and get the node, make a group. So this right here will be the mesh SDF. Mesh SDF. Now it's not 100% accurate, but yeah, it's fine. There was one, I forgot how I made it, made the SDF work before. And of course I took out the wrong input. That's supposed to be the bottom one. Let's see. Well, you need to output the vector as well. So this will be the, well, yeah, we already have that. And then this will be SDF, side distance field. Go, flip those around. We can also output the normal. This will be normal, wrong one. It needs to be the actual output right there. Yeah, there's that just to optimize it a little bit. Okay. And actually, right here, I could just make it so that it'll be like that. It's greater than the distance, and then in this case, it'll be also greater than. Of course, that screwed something up. Right, because this needs to be the actual distance. Nope. Not because of that. Okay. I mean, that's all right. You can clearly see, I think the spheres are still just twice the size that they should be. Yeah, okay. Because, right, the size is the radius, not the diameter. So I need to scale up the cube by 2. This is causing an update. Let's go and hide you. Okay. Over here, this is our little renderer. So I should make this into a group as well. But yeah, let's actually use the node groups to our advantage. So node, make group, just so that we have everything in a nice and convenient place. Here we will switch between the high and low res. So this will be, yeah, and oh, over here also has those. I think it is, these are a little bit too big in my personal opinion. Like if they made them just a bit smaller, but I think they're mostly okay. So node, wait, no, I wanted to go to the group, and this will be full res, or no, cubes. Yeah, that's good enough for me. And then we can choose the cube material. So again, the goal is we have a lot of node groups, so this is, I guess, render, the render part, or visibility, I don't know, instances. Yeah, and then over here, we can go and make our very nice node make group our subdivision, which, oh my god, that turned so messy in an instant. There we go. We have this, we have the inputs. So it feels more messy like this, so maybe that was a bad idea. Yeah. Let's go and Control Z that enough times. There we go. So I think the subdivide should be one section, and then the delete should be another. So node, make group. I don't know why it moves it like that, but anyway. So this will be subdivide cube, and I spelled that. Whoa, how did I spell that so wrong? Subdivide. There we go. There we go. Okay, so that's not too bad. We still have the lines right here. I could invert them, but oh, do I just want the lines to be very nice? Yeah, I do. So there, and then this will be a less than node. We'll connect that into there. Then now we can see that that's like that. So now we have a pretty nice setup for that. I'm just a little bit worried about that part. Then with this, I want to make it actually accurate. It does look like they're overlapping. And they are. Huh. Okay, I'm just gonna make it uh-oh. I screwed up. Big time. There are going to be so many points calculated with this. I should have the iterations at 5. But yes, as we can see here, for my sanity, let's go and lower that. So here are all the points if they do not get cold, which they 100% need to be cold. Here, it's greater than 0. Well, that's odd. Right, okay, because we do need that, technically. Okay, so if it's greater than this, we should see... Yeah, okay, that seems to work. The distance seems to be too high. So we may have to divide that by 2, or multiply the radius by 2. Even though that probably shouldn't be the case. But it does give a much nicer result. How about that? Look at that. Voxelization, very nice. Okay, but another thing that I've been neglecting is how do we make this so that it actually works with cubes rather than spheres? So this is something that we're just going to have to deal with. Because before, when we use the divide part right here, let's do the distance divided by 2. We could see that if we subdivide this by a bit or multiply. Yeah, we can see that here we would get these gaps, and this is because the cubes out here are not actually getting a collision detection because the corners are not taken into account. It's just spherical. So how do we actually make that work? Well, I have a theory, and I think it's going to work. And I've done this before, but I just need to remember how. Instead of getting this, we will use the SDF to detect whether it's inside or outside the mesh. That's just a simple greater than. And then, let me think about this really quick. Dang, this is, I forgot how to do this. I'm gonna have to remember. Okay. So here, since we already have the subtracted vector, we need to absolute this, and then use a separate XYZ, and then use a maximum here. So either 3 maximums or 3 minimums. So in this case, I think we have maximums. This is just to get a cube-shaped thing. A cube-shaped distance. And we need to check that this actually works. Not entirely sure. Divide, change that to be like... Okay. Let's take a look at the output. Let's go to here. It might actually be working. Let's see. Let's connect this here again, and also move this. See. Here all those are hidden. Best part about Tron was the soundtrack. I do agree. The lights are very amazing, but the soundtrack is just amazing. So we have this distance now, and we do have the detection on whether it's inside or outside the sphere. So how do we make it so that this actually works? Do we multiply it by the size or divide it by the size? That's something I'm not entirely sure yet. So, shoot. In this case, let's go and eliminate all view, because I just want to focus on the main part. Yes, that seems to be working quite well. This would be like 0.01. I'm correct. Nope. Divide. No, dang it. Let's remove the delete part, and we should be clear on that. So I just need to detect if things are actually doing their job. Or no, wait. Needs to be greater than 1 meter. In this case, it would be multiply. Nope. I've forgotten. No. Dang it. But we have the distance. And it is absoluted. I think I need to make a grid to visualize the data. Let's go and get a grid and use a transform geometry node. So we just need enough so that we can see what's going on. So here, based on this, we can see our vector to the, there we go, to the center of the character. So here's like the chest area. We can see the arms right there. So we get the vector offset to there. Then here, what does this look like? That looks very square to me. So anything greater than, in this case, if it's greater than 1, that is the actual square distance away from it. There we go. So we have that. Now let's set this to be 200 so that we can clearly see what's going on. Yep, that seems to be correct to me. And if we were to switch these to be minimums, it would look extremely incorrect. And we can see that there. So yeah, got both of those. So that should be working. Anything beyond 1 is like that. But then if we multiply these by the size, so let's just have an example size right here. In this case, okay. So if we divide it by 0.5, that's correct. Yes, that is working as intended. Anything beyond there will either be subdivided or deleted. That seems to be right. So now, to make this an actual, like, SDF style, we just need to multiply this by -1 if it's outside and 1 if it's inside. So let's make this a float. So if it's outside, let's go and take a little look right here. So if it's outside, it's true. If it's inside, it's not. But we want to flip that around because we only want the inside distance in this case. So with all of this in mind, should have that. Oh, no. We want both. Oh, dang. I forgot how this is done, but we'll figure it out. We always do. Collision detection is always the most annoying thing in GeoNodes. Yeah, we have that. So we have the distance. In this case, it should be divide to see if there is an actual collision that is taking place. And that should be 1. Greater than? There we go. Just needed to flip that around. So we can see that these parts here are working just fine. Then over here, if we turn on the delete geometry, there we go. Much better. We can see, oh wait, internally is it doing its job? Internally, it is not doing the subdivision. Oh. I am annoyed. Partly. Right there. Yeah, all that's happening. Oh, that's a cool pattern. Huh. Let's see. Let me think about this real quick. Scale is 2. Internally. Oh, that is doing nothing. If it's 1, it does... Oh, wait. I am getting increasingly confused by this. Greater than, less than... Yep. Dang. Let's get the signed version of this distance field. Uh-oh. Screwed up again. Let's wait for it. This is gonna take a while. But yes. Cool stuff. I really don't want to reference my previous work in order to figure out how to do this one, so we're just gonna go with the flow. I should have put in a safeguard, so that's what I should have done. It may be crashing now. Okay, let's wait for it to go through the motions. Actually, I can hard crash it right here. Just turn it off. File, recover, autosave. Okay, that's not too bad. We weren't booted back too far. Go into full screen. Okay, we're back here. So let me save this in its current state and also do a switch node, yes. So if the domain size with the points is greater than, we'll do 1 million. That is 1 million, right? No, that is 100 million. So if it's greater than that, then I'll switch it to be true, which will eliminate everything. Which essentially should make a safeguard where no matter what happens, we will still survive. Okay, so let's give this a test. There we go, see? Now, if it's over 1 million points, it'll just say, nope, we're not doing anything, and we will survive just fine. We're at 30 minutes right now, which is going very slow because I thought this part I would just breeze by it, but apparently getting the correct distance is not easy, especially when it comes to cubes. Oh, why are you lagging? Dang it. Well, we may have to go and reboot it again. Alright, let's go and do this one more time. So instead, actually, file, recover, autosave. Try to get back. Nope, that is basically the same place we were before. Toggle window full screen once again. Since this has been a bit of a pain. Actually, I should put the safeguard inside of here. So that if it's too much, it will just switch it to not work. Yeah, let's do that. So we will use a switch node. And then if this one, if the domain size is over 1 million, it will just not do it. So let's go and use a greater than node. And then let's do. We do not want one step to have over 1 million points. Here we go. So if that's true, then it will just employ the safeguard. Actually, let's make a node, make group, and this will just be the safeguard. Or the fail safe. There we go. Not bad at all. Okay, so now that we have this, let's lower the iteration count just in case that didn't work out all too well. And now we can go and use this distance and see what happens. Okay, see? Safeguard seems to be working as intended. So now let's make this the actual distance. There we go, that seems to be working. Okay. So if it is indeed greater than 1, it will eliminate everything. And if this is less than 1, it's like it's almost working. Negative 0.5. 0? Nope. So close to working, but for some reason it's not. Just have the wrong order. So close. Or is it? Wait, is it actually working now? Oh, wait, it might actually be working. Then if this is greater than 0.5. Oh, that seems, oh, maybe that's the right combination. That looks right to me, even though the size is a little bit too big. Let's go and turn on the cubes. Okay, the cubes are too big. So the distance here needs to be multiplied or divided by 2. Let's try a multiply by 2 first. Whoops. keep hitting all the wrong buttons. That seems to be incorrect. Almost seems... no. Like, that's correct, but just the size. S 0.5. That seems correct to me. Yep, I think we got it. Potentially. So here, if we just do all of this, this will be, I guess... this over to here. This will be, cube. Let's see, cube. Collision. Collision SDF. Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it at this time. So if it's greater than that or that, we should be okay. Seems to be good. And now we have this, which is pretty nice. So we could bake the result of our subdivision method right here. Let's also go and save this. As we can see, that's not too bad for a node setup. We just had to get the right combination, which I, unfortunately, forgot. So now that we have this, we can scale these beforehand. So here, we can take the size as a named attribute, and then divide, and then just connect this into here, set it to be there. Or let's do a multiply instead. So now we can do this based off of anything we want. So I think in this case, let's go and get an empty and bring it into the scene, drag you into here, set this to be relative, and now we can repeat the cube collision or just the SDF here and see how that goes. So we subtract the current position. Should make this into a node group as well. That would probably be ideal. Let's do that. So here we can probably get the accurate proximity. Wait, should this be a divide or a subtract? I don't know. Let's just try it out. Map range. So I want to see if this will do what I want. So if it's 2 away. Let's see, where are you? The empty's right here. I don't know. Do we just... Yeah, actually, let's just do this the simplest way. We've done more than enough in the screwing everything up department. So there we go. So now we can see that all of these are looking beautiful. So let's do that. Let's do this. And we'll set this to be 0.5 or 0.25. That's a bit better. So now we have the cubes and they're doing their thing, but I want to make it so that the bigger cubes see themselves as further away, which was what this was trying to do, but unfortunately that did not work exactly as I intended. So let's just do a simple and very, very dumb subtract. So here, the bigger cubes will see themselves or actually wait, in this case an add. The bigger cubes will see themselves as further away, and we may need to multiply this by 2. There we go. Because when this goes away, I want to actually see... Actually, should this be to the power of 2? No, that was a bad idea. Or maybe we could square roots. Not quite feeling that. Let's set this to be 1 and 2. How does that look? Not great in my opinion. Or actually, wait. Oh, I think that might be it. That we just get all of the levels working in harmony. That might be the key. Okay. So a few other things we could do. I could try to do camera culling based on if the cubes, or the points in this case, are inside or outside to make the calculations a lot easier on us. But actually, I probably should. And that's why I need to make a node group for that. That's that. This is just the effect. Yeah, let's make a node group for this. So node, make group, and then this is the scale effect. Scale effect after our tree is made. So scale effect right there. And we can add in another one for camera culling before or after that to make it easier on everything else. Mesh to points, we can just go and put that up there, forget about it. And this part is right there. So that is the current setup. So let's go and focus on the shader because we spent way too much time on that. So let's save this. So now we just have some legs with cubes right there. This part of the soundtrack, absolute cinema. Let's go here. Here we go. So again, we want this kind of glowy action, which I think we can do with ambient occlusion. We are using EV Next, which I still have some gripes with in terms of like how noisy the AO and stuff like that is, but we should be okay. And in this current build of Blender, that error is occurring, so I need to keep that in mind. Cube. Wait a minute. Nope, I do not want to do that. Why is it not doing that? The GeoNode editor. Let's go over here. Take a look at that. Ah, right. So I want the points and that to have the same material. So let's just set it so that it is that one. There we go. Okay, so now if I switch it to be points or not, we should see the result. Okay, here we go. Let's go and use the AO map range. We don't want... why did it do that? Map range. Actually, yeah, let's go and turn this down by a level. Creator editor, just so that we are not completely overwhelmed by all that. Go over here and let's actually put a pin in this so that we can do all this just fine. So here I want to make it so that it's inverted, so we get this very nice glowing effect. 5. And if we use cycles, I would be able to like fully trick this out and make it absolutely incredible. But for now, I think we're okay. Okay, so here we just need to make this emissive. So let's go and do that. I won't be using my logarithmic light fall off node group. I'm just going to be using the basics. And let's turn the roughness down like that. Turn this into a nice reddish orange and crank up the brightness. A little more into the red too. Okay, there is something there, but noise is a little bit much. Let's also make these cubes a bit more glossy. Let's just for the heck of it, let's go and see what cycles looks like with all this. GPU. Oh no. It's loading the render kernels. This might take a few minutes. So yeah, everything. Oh, we have 32 people here. Hello. I wasn't sure how many people would be here on the second stream of the day. I wasn't planning on doing this. I just saw the Tron trailer and I was like, you know what? We have motivation now. We have motivation now. Okay, this may take a while, so... this is what we get with all of the stuff. I love your profile picture, thank you. I made that probably 5 years ago at this point. Yeah, I've thought about making a new one, but nah, that's a part of my history now. Part of the brand. I can't imagine switching it out now. Let's see. This is what I get for not pre-cooking Blender. We just have to wait for it. Let's see. Super hyped for the film. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm more excited for just Tron coming back, just the vibe. But like my current thoughts on the trailer, them being in the real world, I'm kind of iffy about. I think that was kind of hinted in Tron Legacy. My memory of it is very fuzzy. I just like the vibes. That's what I should say. I like the vibes, the story. I'm just like, oh well. Oh, come on. It's completely frozen at this point. Why does it have to load the render kernels? What GPU are you using? I am using a RTX 3060. Pretty good. Pretty good. Even though now the 3060 is what, like 6 years old? Maybe more? Time has passed by so fast. It was like COVID, and then all of a sudden we're here 5 years later. Why is this taking so long? Okay. Let me go and boot up some other parts of the Tron soundtrack. Let's see. Tron Derezed. Hopefully this doesn't get copyright claimed. Should be old enough. Oh wait. Oh, did it actually load? There we go. Okay, we are good. So, the question is, do we use cycles for this to make it look as good as it possibly can? Let's go and turn on use GPU for both of these. What do we do? So we could turn on the glass part of it, which, interesting. Maybe that could be a good idea. Let's go and get the object info random. I should probably make this so that it's not the legs, but rather the top part of the body. Yeah, that's a bit better. Though, let's go into the GeoNode editor, and I'm going to make this so that scale effect will not take the square root, but rather just the regular one. That feels just a little bit better to me. But that's always an option that we can go back to. Let's do that, tab out of there. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's do this. Go back into the shader editor. And this one does not have the material, which I'm just gonna put this right here. So, we have, oh wow, there's a lot more being added. There's a, is it the material index that's new in that regard? Okay. So here we can make a few of these emissive and the rest glass, which may be a good idea. Let's do a multiply right here and then use a greater than. Or let's use another map range, because I think that might just be a bit better. I am getting annoyed that the viewer shortcut is not working in this build, but it's okay. Here we go. Only a few of them will have the emissive mask there. Ooh, I think we may be cooking. Just maybe. Just maybe. And then we can turn off the AOO. Oh, we may be cooking. Wait. Oh, that looks so good. Okay, we might be cooking. I'm somewhat hesitant to, oh, that looks amazing. I want to try using the compositor for bloom, but from my previous testing, the compositors seem to be a little bit janky, at least the viewport version. Let's get the glare node to be bloom. That should be okay. Let's go back to the GeoNodes tab and switch this. This should be a full build, so it should be okay. Okay, that's rather strong. Let's go to the compositor and then switch this to be 0.25. Is there a clamp to that? Suppress. Oh, yep, that seems to be right. That does seem to be a little bit much in the strength department, so we can tone that down a bit more. Oh yeah, that feels a little bit better. Shader editor once again, and we can change this to be, ooh, that is delicious right there. Delicious colors, that's what you want. Maybe make it a little less saturated. We want that Goldilocks zone right there. Okay. We are drifting from the original concept right here. Well, actually not entirely. We just need to make that part a little bit better. Because it's like half glass, so if we were to go and do that. And again, I do want this to work in plain old Eevee. There we go. So a few things that I want to do. So first of all, I want to make a UV map that is reset on this cube so that we can get the face parts there. So this will be, what should I call this? UV square. Square, yeah, that should be fine. And then I'll just click U, reset, so that we have a version where all these are just like this. And you may be wondering, wait, why do you want that? That is so that I can get a gradient on all of the faces pointing inwards. So if I go and get this UV map, we can go and get a very nice square gradient. Here, switch this to be the UV square, we can see that. Then we subtract. Then we subtract 0.5 so that we have this in the center, as we can see here. Absolute to mirror the gradient. Separate X, Y, Z, and then maximum. Smooth maximum. Yeah, we can smooth max. Here we go. So remember, maximum chooses the maximum of 2 values. It doesn't set the, like, absolute limits. Choose the maximum. Let's go and these. I think we need the derezzed soundtrack, so please bear with me while I load them up on YouTube, and hopefully it doesn't get copyright claimed, and also hopefully we don't get an ad. Oh, no ad. Very nice. Okay, let's close out that one. Okay. There we go. Okay. Tell me if it's too loud. Oh no, that is getting too loud. Yep. Audio controls on YouTube are a little bit finicky. Okay. So we have that, and now we can use a map range. Is that loud? I'm gonna just lower it a little bit. There we go. We're gonna be cooking. And we can multiply this, so we can get just a very nice looking gradient. Oh, this goes to 0.5. Okay. Power node. Yeah, I think that's good. It's getting there. Maybe we can use the ambient occlusion to change the color. Maybe that would be better. And let's just set this to maximum. And strength is just fine, even though that should be last in the tree. So let's go and shift this a little bit. That's looking good. Oh, might just be cooking, might just be cooking. And then I could also take the size into account, which is why stored as a named attribute, right? So, size. Oh, my instincts are good. I just knew it subconsciously. So here we can make the ones that are in the center brighter and the ones at the ends less bright, or invert it. So map range, or I should have like an original size. Yeah, that might be a good idea. So that when they scale, they still have the same properties. Do I square root this? I think that might be a good idea, so that we get a bit more linear fall off between all that. So those ones can glow and everything else doesn't. Might be a good idea. Put these into nice frames. do that. Invert you. And there we go. A much better organized node tree. Bit better. And the music's over. You know what? Let's loop it. Again. So, there we go. We'll put that into there, and then we will multiply you by you. There we go. Good idea. Let's check, yeah, let's check the actual effect. So, okay, so internally they glow, externally they don't. So I basically have the inverted version of what they did. So, let's invert it. Let's check the gradient here. Like that. Maybe I should impose like a mandatory like size for these so that they will always subdivide unless they're under a certain size. Yeah, I could do that because internally there they have that. Okay. But we're getting that faint glow. We're getting there. Or I could change the ratio. Like the random ratio based on how big they are. That might be the way to go. Then here we'll bump this up to be like 100. So that we just get that internal glow. Delicious. Let's switch it back to Eevee because I just want to see how that's going. That's looking pretty good as well. We're not getting the transparency, which, yeah, that's to be expected. And maybe we invert these colors. We get the nice orange and then maybe it fades into the redder tones. Maybe. Not fully set on that one. Power node. Ooh. Pretty cool. Not entirely feeling it just yet. And also it feels like the output is getting severely clamped. Yeah, that would be why. That's also just for kicks. And I'm going to save this beforehand. Let's turn up the resolution. Yep, it is struggling now. Dang it. Let's go and turn off that overlay. Oh, we're getting there. We are getting there, but at what cost? Yeah. At what cost? And then I could also, again, still make it so that after a certain point, the actual shader shows up. Which, if we're wanting to clone the effect, that may be a good idea. Let's go and change the scale effect. So, yeah, what would be the best way of doing this? We subtract and then, yeah, multiply. And I could delete everything under or over a certain range. Let's see. We subtract to do that, so if this is multiplied, or no, we want this to be a divide. So this is the range. We control this to change the fall off, this to be the actual range. So there we go. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, I think that's enough from derezzed. We will switch back to the previous soundtrack. Let me go and move this up to be -5 decibels. Yeah, that seems to be a comfortable volume. Here we go. I feel like this will need a second pass because it's almost working. Almost. We're getting there. But it's not quite there yet. So if we instead do this, it's almost working. Almost. Just need to change the range so that it actually functions the way I intend. And I probably should have like a minimum size. Like comparing the... Okay, I should have a few more attributes, which wouldn't be too bad. Storing the original size and then the actual size that we see. Like that. Let's go and do that. More data. We need more data. How long have I been streaming? 1 hour. Almost to the dot. I could feel it. Yes. So let's go and... Before the scale effect happens, we'll go and store the size, and this will be rest size. So rest size. And it'll just be the size before anything else happens, so that we can use it for anything we want. So if we want it so that things will keep their shape and all that, then I could also make this size normalized. That might be a good idea. Let's add in all the functionality I could possibly ever want. Let's go and do this. Control J. That. So this will be the normalized size. So end size for normalized size. So we have that, and then we're just going to map range this to the min and max. So map range. Wait, where did that come from? I want an attribute statistic, actually. Go into there, set it to point, get the min and the max, and then plug that into there. Hide all the unused outputs. So this will give us the normalized size range so that we can have a nice even gradient, and it'll take out all the guesswork so that it will automatically update whenever we change something. Thinking ahead. So here, this should technically be before that. Just feels a bit better this way. We store the rest size first, we store the normalized size second, and just the current size last. So this will be normalized size. So do we need the square root? Probably not. Probably fine without it. There we go. We now have a very nice gradient from the lowest to the highest, regardless of their current size and all that good stuff. That, pretty good. We can add in a random value per each voxel to decide whether to, you know, dither the result here, because that could look good. I can add in noise. I can add in whatever I want. And I could also invert the effect completely. Do you have the ray tracing on? Or the, in this case, the screen ray tracing. A little bit funky about that. Do you think a normalized field node would be a good addition? I feel like that would be pretty convenient. Actually, let's see. What is this? The field... Was this added yet? The field min and max? No, not yet. That may be coming in the future? Maybe it was already implemented, but unfortunately I am forgetting the name. In this case, I'm going to set this to be negative. That, there we go. And then here we can go and add to the scale randomly. In this case, we'll have a random value, set it to be 1 and -1. Change the C to be a random number. So here we can dither the result and make it feel a little bit more cinematic. You know, a little bit more chaotic. I can even do noise. Whatever I want. It's all within my grasp. Though it feels like the adaptive subdivision may still be a little bit funky. Maybe not quite what I want. Like it's... Is it there? Like it feels like those could all be one, right? I don't know. May need a second pass, but we're this close to fully getting it. Look at that. Let's also go... I'm going to invert that part once again, so that we can see the character with just a gigantic piece blown out of him. So we'll do that. You know, totally normal. Nothing wrong whatsoever. Come on, buddy. You can do it. So we are, again, diverting from our main reference here, again. Oh, but look at that! We're getting there. There's something there, we just need to fully realize on it. Let's see, 0.5. I think the colors are hurting it a little bit. Maybe we need a random color, maybe not. Because we're not quite getting the, like, internal glow. Like, I could actually just straight up put in an internal emissive cube into these if we are going to be using the glass. Let's try it out, you know? We're at an hour. I can go for probably 25 minutes more. But yeah, let's go and make it so that we have another cube inside the cube. Half the scale, of course. And then we'll go here, set it to be... So this will be, Voxel. Oh, wait. Wow, I just had that the complete wrong way around. What is that? Oh, the loading symbol. But we'll go and assign that to the internals. So here we will completely eliminate all of the internal glow, and then this one will just straight up be internal glow. No other fanfare happening. So let's go and take a look at that. Just set this to be 25. Excusez-moi. Why are you not doing your job at the moment? Maybe no, it's not. Interesting. Why are you not working? Can't be because of the alpha layers, correct? Oh, because yep, internally it sets the material. I keep forgetting about that. So inside of the geometry node part of this, we are just going to eliminate you. Except maybe if we set it to be points. It's fine. We'll just be eliminated for now. So now we can see, yes, the internal part is glowing beautifully. So, and we'll also re-implement... Not you. Voxel core. Yeah, we could put you back in. But simplified. Better. Not bad, even though it does look like if we change the color, it's like Minecraft slimes to a degree. Ooh. Now that's the gamer mouse look. Yeah. Blue. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Let's set this to be Eevee. And let's try some alpha blending, but I'm a little hesitant about this. So, if we do this, that is dithered, which we do not want to dither. Let's change it to dithered. Please do not crash on me. Look at that. Laggy as hell. But the detail. Look at that. Okay, let's ignore that ever happened. I think... Yeah. I still don't want this to have to be rendered in cycles, but it looks so much better. Come on, buddy. You good? Oh, right. Yep, that's the wrong one. I think I might turn it back so that we don't have to deal with the actual sub layer of all of it. But dang, does that look good. Let's center the empty, because I think this may be incredible. Look at that. No, sometimes it's just nice to be in awe of something you made. It's the fractal nature of it. Do 0.5, that might be, yeah, that's way too much. Might need to bring it forward. Actually, let's animate it. Let's do it, because actually the calculation for all that shouldn't be horrific. Probably not great, but not like the worst thing in the world. Okay. We have all that. So yeah, let's go and actually animate it. So right here, we'll set it to be 0 so that everything's just joined, and then this will be 0.5. Let's take a look at it. Goes, we're getting a crisp 4 frames per second. Hopefully you can still hear me all right. But with this amount of voxels, even though they are optimized, fully optimized voxels, it's a little rough. Yeah. And we could just lower the amount of voxels by 1. We should be like pretty good to go. So it is still rebuilding the tree for all of it, so I could just bake it. So let's use a bake node that we can bake the results here. There we go. And now the playback should be a lot better. So let's take a look. There we go. Much, much better. Still laggy, but... And it is... We should move this forward. Oh, I like that. You can see like the... Almost like... Maybe lungs in a sense. Like the bigger internal components and then they fill in. Pretty nice if I do say so myself. So yeah, now that we have this, let's try to make it look as good in Eevee as it does in Cycles. So step 1, optimization. We're going to eliminate that internal cube. Internal cube has been eliminated. Let's go over to here and let's get this looking good. So back to Eevee. Eevee next. We can see that, yeah, noisy as hell, but... let's get the layer weight node. Now, layer weight is like Fresnel and has a Fresnel option, but it gives a much more linear gradient. So let's map range this. See if this is a good idea. Maybe. So we could go and get the... Let's see. I'm really reaching at this point, but this might actually be a good idea. We can get a different normal just by subtracting these two and then normalizing it so that we can get a kind of circular normal. So that the internal part will look spherical instead of round. So if we feed that into the layer weight node, we should see, yeah, something like that. Even though that's starting to look like caviar, which I can't say I'm a huge fan of. We can mix between the two. That might be a good idea. Here we go. Let's go and move this down. Control H. Let's do a nice little mix node between the actual normal and our round normal. Again, this is a reach. I want to see if this is a good idea. Just want to see. So it's that and that. I could always try pulling the normal from the surface, but I think that might also be a bad idea. Potentially. So let's go with this and see how this looks. So we'll just put this into here. Take a look there, because I want that internal volume feel. And like that. Let's see if this will actually work. So there's the, oh wait, is that wrong? That may be, that should be the regular normal. Why is it not, great? Huh. And then if we switch to that, we just get the very centered normal. Which makes it look like there's a ton of spheres, which could be good, potentially. Yeah, and let's take a look at our reference over here. So again, I'm assuming that compositing is really pulling a lot of the weight here. But we can see that, yeah, no, there's some Fresnel going on. Yeah, they just need to be shiny, glittery, and all that. So in this case, I have an idea. Let's go and get the texture coordinate. And then if we take a look at the object coordinate from that, we can see that it looks like this. If we then get the length, we should see something that can kind of simulate that internal volume, but with much fewer nodes, and it's not view dependent. Should be very nice. Let's set this to be 1. So here we can see there's something like that, which I am a fan of. 0.75. Am I a fan of that? Not sure. Let's just play around with it and see what we can do with it. So again, last thing in the chain is going to be the strength of the emission. Let's go and rewind this so that we get that part. So again, the internal part, because it's like the organs and stuff like that, will be nice and alive, very glowy, and then at the ends will be less. Not a fan of that fall off. To be honest, maybe it just needs a power node to soften the blow. Let's see. Maybe we need to go back to the previous gradients. Go and delete everything that's unnecessary, including you. Oh, uh-oh. I think the compositor may be having a fit right now. Let's read the chat. Let's see. I always use cycles. Eevee is so laggy with my 1650. Oh yeah, I can definitely see that. I think we may be crashing at the moment, because the compositor has been crashing ever since Blender 4.4. Not entirely sure why. Let's see. Do you think a normalized... Oh wait, I already read that. Let's see. I would just like to mesh a bunch of verts by nearest, but failed with both GPT and Geo nodes. I bought an add-on in the end. I mean, yeah, that's fair. Add-ons are there for a reason. Probably better than ChatGPT. Why? Oh, it crashed. Fun. Hopefully we didn't lose too much data. Too much time. We are almost at... We're at 1 hour and 17 minutes. We can go for 10 more. Cover autosave. Autosave recovered. We lost a little bit of time, but let's go and... Okay. Should be back. Let's save this in its current state. Window, toggle window full screen. It's the compositor doing that. Okay, that... I simultaneously like it and don't like it. I'm not entirely sure why. I think it's because we're getting those very harsh corners, which I can soften with the... with this. And I am focusing a lot more on the voxels because, you know, the overlayer right here, like just the, oh, shiny wireframe right there, that's easy to do. That's easy to do. I've done that a million times. But the internal voxels, I think we just need to control the strength by a random value to make it feel, you know, a bit more varied. So let's go, well, the normalized scale weight. It is being thrown into the fold, right? Yeah, okay, so we can delete all that, delete all of this, and right here we can just throw this in, and we should be good to go. Collapse you, put you here and here, put you into a nice frame. Here we are. It is looking much more granular. Maybe if we do this... I mean, that could potentially work. Over to here, and I want to add in a little bit of glow to outside. Nope. Nope. I was hoping for a very, very faint glow. But no, it seems like it does not want that. We could use either a square root node, and maybe that'll help fix the fall off and get to what I'm looking for. Barely functional. Power node, set to 2. Nope, much worse. That seems to be okay. I think I'll just need to fiddle around with this, put it through a few iterations, but for the time being, this is not too bad. Again, just having this. Tons of voxels doing that, which... Oh, right, I could animate these. Silly me. I forgot we could actually animate these. How about that? So actually, maybe I should move the size scaling after. So that, actually, wait. Actually, yeah, let's do that. Let's move our size manipulation to be after. Like, we're scaling the instances. So this part, we're just gonna store the data. So this will be size data. Then afterwards, we can go and actually manipulate these instances based on the fall off. So here we can do this. We'll just do it straight to the instances. That's fine. So we will go and transform. Wait, set instance transform. There we go. So we will go and combine, transform. We're kind of working backwards here. So here we will take the instance transform. Oh, no. Instance transform. Separate it. Nope. Separate the transform, not the raw matrix. So here we can go and scale whatever we want. So here we will scale it. And then we can mix the rotation with a random one. We can do whatever we desire. So, let's go and add, or rotate rotation, oh, rotate rotation, rotate rotation. We go, hide that, do that, put it over there. And then, wait, why is the scaling acting weird? Because it is not clamped. There we go, so we have that, and then we can use this to use a map range, and then we can just change the rotation randomly. So random value. This part of the soundtrack, absolute cinema. So here we can see. We want it to be effective. Actually, wait. Or I could just multiply you. Actually, no. Map range. That's the way to go. So here, if it's... So as it's going up or down, and of course the animation got eliminated. Oh, I'm actually not a fan of that anymore. 0.1, maybe a little bit of rotation would be okay. Yeah, not a big fan of that. Okay. Well, we can scale. We can do whatever we want. We can also, yeah, maybe adding. It would be okay. So instead of that, we will make this a lot less. Maybe it's not a good idea. I think this is a bad idea. Yeah, no, that is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. We only want to scale the instances in post. So let's not worry about any of that whatsoever. We're just going to scale said instances. Here we are. Could it be a volume shader like a VDB or something? That I would not recommend that at all. This just, since it's a ton of cubes inside of a person, it'll be a ton of cubes inside of a person. That's the best. That's the best way to do it. So here we can see, look at that, adaptive subdivision. I think that was one of the first tutorials I've ever done on this channel. Years and years ago. Again, I've been doing this for way too long. So, with the size data. Oh, shoot. Okay. Let's go and add in the animation once more. So again, that is our... Actually, wait. I learned this trick a while ago, and it's just better to do it this way. you just have a 0 to 1 value, and then you use a map range to decide when is the min or the max. So map range. So here, when it is set to 1, that is when it's all completed. Right here, this will be just our max, so that we don't have to keep editing the actual keyframes. All we need to do, actually, yeah, let's make this so that when it's at 1, everything will be resolved. And then when it's at 0, it'll just be wherever we desire. So there we go. It'll just mix between those two, and it actually works just fine. I think recursive subdivision is the first tutorial. Oh, funny. Rather circular in that sense. There we go. It's very nice, going through the motions. Though, since this is playing back at 14 frames per second, let's go and double it. So that if this is, rendered, it'll be just fine. Yeah, that's looking okay, but it feels like it needs something more in the shader, on the shader side. So what do we do? I think it's time for normal manipulation. So, in Tron, all the things are made of kind of voxels, but they're more like glass instead of, you know, regular voxels. So let's go get the UV map right here. We're going to manipulate the... Whoa. This is what I was talking about with the compositor being very funny. For some reason, it just keeps glitching out on me. So we'll take a Voronoi texture and offset it based off of the random value, which per instance, this is just random per instance, even though it's technically object info. We'll just multiply this by, say, 100. Hide this, put you into there. There we go. So now we should see, if we go and take a look at, this is what I mean. And it crashed. Okay. Well, show must go on. File, recover, autosave. Please, for the love of God, tell me that the autosave worked. Voronoi, okay, we lost a little bit, but it's okay. The wireframe looks really cool as well. Let's get this back up and running. So yeah, we can see that right here. That's a very nice looking wireframe. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, nope, I need to not do that because yeah, I just can't go into full screen mode because it can complain sometimes. Let's go to the UV map, do a nice little add node right here. Let's do a math multiply, set it to be 100, put it into there. So now when we take a look at the output, we can see that this has a different pattern per voxel. Now that we have this is pretty good. And now we just need to manipulate the normal. So let's get the geometry, get the normal, and we want to, in this case, linear light, because the color range is from 0 to 1 instead of negative or positive 1 to negative 1. You know what I mean. So let's take a look at this. So we should see that if we scale this up by a bit more, we can see that all the cubes look a lot more fractured. I was going to say fractal or fractured, and then I mixed the two. If we turn up the detail, it can look a bit better. Turn down the randomness, and then maybe we are cooking. The Voronoi texture is notoriously very expensive to calculate, so use it in moderation. Let's set this to be like 0.2, maybe 2 levels is fine. 1 extra detail level. Yeah, that seems to be okay. So it's just a little level on top of it just to give it a bit more detail. There's that. Let's go into the compositor and add in a bit of lens distortion. Before or after... Actually, in real life, what happens first? No, lens distortion happens after everything else, right? Yeah, dispersion. Let's set it to be 0.1 just because I want to see. Okay. Just a little bit after the fact. Wow, this is so laggy. I apologize, everyone. And then we can turn on the depth of field. Just set it to be whatever we want. set it to be like, I don't know, 0.2. That looks nice. Even though, you know, it's a little bit inaccurate. There we go. Oh, and I could use the camera info node to use the depth of field to drive the effect, but no. Unnecessary. But yeah, there we go. A very nice looking effect. And one last thing. Let's go back to the cube. I want to edit the brightness based off of the Voronoi texture color. So we can go and separate the XYZ and then multiply this by texture. This will look amazing, phenomenal. And there we go, just a little bit more detail on top of there. Not super noticeable, but it is there. Set this to be 0.1, maybe another level right there. So yeah, and if I turn off that, ooh, that does look good. I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure I'm a fan of the seeing that in the Voronoi. It feels a bit too much like Minecraft, or the Minecraft movie, rather than actual Minecraft. Yeah, we'll take that out. Again, we're going for Tron. Then here. Looks like he's wearing a baseball cap backwards. But here, you can use the gradients on there to finalize all that, but yeah. Actually, let's make a very, very quick. We are at 1 hour and 31 minutes. Okay, so let's wrap this up really quickly. Let's go and get a gradient from the empty right here. We can't control both of them at the same time, unfortunately, because they're in different, the base mesh is not being run by that. So let's go and get a texture coordinate. Get it from the empty right here, get the length. Let's try to speed run this. So here, I'm also going to have a reset UV map. So this will be rest, or no, I labeled it square. It should have been the reset, or let's just do that. So here, I'm going to AU reset. There we go. So here, we can get the UV map, and then we can, again, get that kind of, where are you? We can pull you out from here to get that kind of wireframe. Let's try to get this set up at a record pace. So all that's good already. We have that. Let's go and add to this based off of this. Let's go and multiply this by that. Put that in there. Add to this. And then if it's greater than a certain value, it will just delete itself now. And then that should be okay. So that's dithered. That is perfectly fine. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so that is functioning, but it is way too apparent. Bring this down. Actually, this should be set to 0.5, and then we just edit there. There we go. So now we have this. We can go and add to here to make it a bit more varied. Again, looking at the wireframe. And we could always, like, fraction this to make it look like it's higher res than it is. Again, in the actual movie, at least the trailer, we can see here that that's the actual wireframe. That's the, maybe they put on another subdivision level or two. Like, I'm pretty sure right here that's the actual wireframe that you're seeing, and that's the actual wireframe there. Pretty sure. Like, when it goes over the glove, you can see it. So yeah, if I wanted to make this even better, you know, we would need a few more iterations, but it's fine. It's all perfectly fine. Again, from working on a movie, things take a long time to nail down with the amount of iterations that you do. Doesn't happen overnight. Doesn't happen overnight. Okay, so now we have that. So now let's put in a very quick, very fast emissive effect. So map range, emission, let's change this to be red right there. Use a power node because I'm not going to be using the node group. Set this to be like that. Put this into there. Actually, wait, multiply. Put that into there. Set this to be smoother step. Nah, we don't need that. And we'll just set this to be something like 50. So here. Why is the alpha not doing its job? Why did that invert for no apparent reason? Because unfortunately, I took out the empty. Okay, there we go. So we have that. That's pretty good. That's all fine. And here we have U, which is less than ideal. So let's go and fix that. Put that right there, and we'll put you to be like 0.5. Actually, we'll make you 0. So that we can very easily, well, actually no. Keep it at 0.5 so that we can map all this very easily. There and there, but we want to set the U to be 1 and that to be 0.5. So now if we look at this, we can see that that's happening, but it is way too pink. So let's go and move it over to here and change. I think we need to change the gradient a lot more. So let's go and put you into here. So actually, wait, that's probably fine. Let's change this to be 0.55. We're getting there, but I think here we need to, let's swap this a little bit. So do that, should be fine. Add, maybe we just need to constrain the gradient a bit more. Yeah, there we go. Got to do that, and then here we need to just have a different multiplication value to put it into the actual grid. Thingamabopper. Then we want this to extend. Subtracting, or yeah, taking out of there, that looks pretty good. If I do say so myself. And now all that's left to do is to fake a higher res version of this. So, how do we do this? We just scale and then fraction, then we should be good to go. And that should be before everything else. So let's go and chop that out, put that there. Hopefully this does not crash. Please, for the love of God, do not crash on me. Do this. Do that. Okay, that seems to be okay. The viewport compositor is not giving up the ghost just yet. And we could add in a random value for all this, but it's fine. There we go. So now it just looks like it's a bit higher res, even though it isn't. And then we can set that to be like 0.2. There we go. That's... I think we're gonna have to voxelize that, but I think we should save that for another time because I am at the... My patience has run very thin with this project, which is usually a sign that I should just chill and wait for another day. Because, you know, doing all the everything in a project on one day is usually a recipe for disaster. Just have a little bit of that. So, yeah, it can transition to the actual mesh. And for that, I would probably just need to make it so that it's a bit smaller internally, which will save on some voxels. So yeah, the effect is close to done. Close. Almost. But yeah, this is the... I guess the end of the effect for now. Let's take a look in cycles. Look at that. Oh, the glass. Delicious. Big fan of the glass. But yeah, unfortunately in EV, we cannot use the glass. So sad. Incredibly sad. But let's go and turn that off for now so that we can get some of that nice reflective lighting. Actually, let's try out some subsurface scattering. This is probably a big mistake, but, you know, why not? It does basically nothing. Why is that looking like that? I don't know. Yeah. Kind of works, but yeah. Alright, I think that's as good as it's going to get. We're not using ambient occlusion, so I will just test that at the end here. Map range once more, because that did look good before. Maybe it should be safe. Well, actually, wait. Let's multiply. Again, put this right here. The stream is lasting for way too... Ah, dang it, it's gonna crash. Save. Take a look. Okay. Actually, that could turn out to be pretty good. So let's take a look at that. There is something there. Okay. Again, should end the stream, but I can't stop. I can't stop. Excuse-moi, why is that happening? It does give the very nice internal volume look. So maybe that's a good idea. Let's set this to be 1 and 0.25. Almost. Almost. Yeah. So yeah, I'll keep that in mind, but yeah, that's fine. So in summary, this is looking pretty good, pretty nice. We have the animation all done. We can pick whatever color we choose. The red is looking very delicious right now. But yeah. 0. Set this to be 0.44. Ooh. Not half bad. So many variations that I will play around with later. So many. But yeah, for the moment, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the stream. It went quite a bit longer than I hoped for, but I think the results are okay. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.